Come along with us today as we hike Old Rag Mountain Loop in Shenandoah National Park. This is a very challenging trail at over 9 miles in length and over 2,300 feet of elevation gain. Want to see how we did with this trail? Keep watching. All right, so it's 6:16. We are up and we're in the car, and it's a pretty nice morning. We're going to drive the 45 minutes to the start of the Old Rag hike, but I think we're going to be able to start it around time. We're hoping to start around 7:15. It looks like that's going to work out, so stay tuned. All right, so we're here at the start of the Old Rag Trail. There's about 30 cars in the parking lot, which is a lot less than I expected. And there is a ranger station here. They're gonna check your tickets for the hike, because to hike this one, you have to have a permit. When we looked yesterday, there was about 800 permits available. So we knew on a Tuesday in April, it's not gonna be super crowded, but they will check your permit. They will check your America the Beautiful pass. And this hike is rated as very strenuous, so just know that going into it, and we'll show you what it's like. I'm super excited. Said to my husband, it felt a little bit like Christmas morning because I've wanted to do this hike for so long, and the day is finally here. So the trail starts climbing pretty much right away. There it is from down there, and you already start right away with some gentle switchbacks. There's a number of beautiful wildflowers along the forest floor. You can just hear the bird song in the morning. If you haven't heard, we're doing this hike because it's my 43rd birthday, and this is what I really wanted to do for my birthday. And my husband's awesome. He always kind of lets me do something special for my birthday. When the kids were little, we used to rent like Pennsylvania State Park cabins. For my 40th, we went to Mammoth Cave. So for my 43rd, wanted to come to Shenandoah and hike Old Rag. So like a lot of the hikes in the national park, this hike got a little bit too popular, and they had to put in a permit system. And I believe that's done a much better job of controlling the crowds. We haven't seen anybody else on the trail so far today, which is pretty neat because I expected it to be more crowded. And from what I have read, when you get to some of the rock scrambling sections on a busy day, there can be bottlenecks in the trail, and you're going to find yourself having to wait for people to pass. So that's what I was hoping to avoid by getting the early morning start, and I think we're going to be just fine. With all these rocks, I feel like you're back home in Pennsylvania. There are a number of pretty large boulders out there, as you can see along the trail, kind of down there off in the distance. All right, so we're starting to get some views here. Wow, what a view. Look at that. Gorgeous. So at this point in the hike, we're primarily in the rock scramble sections, and they go on and on and on. So I changed to a chest harness to do the GoPro filming because you absolutely need to have both hands free. In this case, my husband wore the pack up, I wore the pack down. He definitely had the harder job because in some cases, you almost have to be like Spider-Man. You have to press your back against the wall, put your feet against the other rock, and shim yourself kind of along. And the backpack definitely hinders that. So we did some passing back and forth of the pack and things like that. So because I was trying to be safe, because these rock scrambles were really, really difficult. In some parts, it was huge drops and things like that. I just couldn't film everything in a way that was safe, but by wearing the chest harness, it at least enabled me to get some footage in the way that I thought was best. If you do this hike, when you are in the rock scramble sections, just keep your eyes open for the blazes. They really can be in some crazy places. In some cases, there'll be an arrow facing down and you're supposed to go down into like this little rock cavern. And other times it's telling you to go up and over the boulder. So just really be alert and really look out for those blazes. Another thing that we found is because this hike is so well traveled, some of these rock surfaces are so slippery. And if you've done, rock scrambles, rock climbing before, you look for a place to place your hand, you look for a foothold, things like that. But in some cases, these were so slippery, there was just no way to get traction. It was really, really difficult in some spots. All right, so I took the chest harness off for a minute while I'm sitting here talking to you. A couple of things you should know. Definitely don't do this hike in shorts. Wear some clothes that you don't really care about. You're not going to be elegant. You're not going to be graceful going up this section. There's a lot of like butt sliding and scooting and flopping and throwing yourself over these rocks. It's pretty challenging. So definitely have clothes that you don't mind scooting across rocks with and things like that. Yeah, I would definitely not do this in shorts no matter how hot it is. It is pretty challenging. I mean, we've done some rock scramble hikes on the AT before at Hawk Mountain, things like that. We've done some hard hikes at different national parks, but this is a different kind of challenging. A lot of elevation and just a lot of tough climbs and things like that between the boulders. I'm a little bit short. I'm about 5'3", so some of the reaches and things are definitely more challenging for a short person, but I'm still able to do it. So we're just taking a little break. We're pretty close to the summit. So that's going to be exciting. I can't wait to show all of you that, but we're almost there. Another thing I want to mention is there are many false summits on this hike. And I knew this because all trails had said you're going to run into several false summits. Don't be fooled. So if you hike this yourself, know that going into it. Know you're going to think you're there and you're not there yet. All right, so we made it. We both agreed this is the toughest hike we'd ever done. We saw some people with climbing gloves. It seems like a great idea. Your hands are gonna get so scratched and so chewed up from just the rocks. And we've done rock scrambles before, but these are like, sometimes you have to take your backpack off. Sometimes you have to almost like crab walk. You have to kind of pull yourself over these slick rocks. So many times you have to go up it and your feet just slide because the rock is so worn. So really challenging. At one point I said to my husband, like, oh my God, what did I get us into? But of course I rallied and he said, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna do it. So we did. I feel great though that we made it up to the top, and I know we still have the way to get back down, but we're gonna go back down on the fire road. It's gonna be a little bit longer distance, but the distance isn't really the problem. The problem is just the elevation and just going through some of just these crazy rock sections. It's definitely, they're just so slick. I have new boots and they just had like no grip. My husband's boots were doing the same thing. We watched a guy in front of us just go up and slide down several times. So really challenging, but really awesome. And the views up here are amazing. We're the only people up here. We're gonna sit and have a snack. Let me show you some of the views. What's really interesting about this hike is when you get to the summit, you do really feel accomplished, but yet you have so much more ahead of you. I believe you probably still have something like 5 miles to get back down the mountain, because you're going to be going through a rocky section at first, and then most of your downhill section is going to be on a fire road, which is nice and flat, but it's also long. So I just wanted to point out that I'm wearing my Trailheads. This is the race day cap. I absolutely love these hats. I've had them in a number of different colors, but when I go hiking, especially at a national park, this is my go-to cap. I also like the Ridge Runner one as well, but this one kind of just fits a little bit nicely in my bag, a little bit more, and I really like to bring this one with me. But it's doing a great job keeping the sun off my face, and then also has this ventilation, so I'm staying cool. So the way down is much easier, but it is rocky still, and it is steep, and you're gonna feel it in your knees just coming down. I know eventually we're gonna meet with the fire trail. So one thing I do want to point out, if you wanted to do this hike, but you're not a fan of the rock scrambles, or you don't think you're physically able to do that, consider doing Old Rag, where you come up the fire road and then you're gonna come up some steep sections as well, and then you would just do it as an out and back and come back the same way. We've seen several people doing it that way, and that's a nice alternative. Get up there and see those views, but without the strain of the rock scramble portion. So keep that in mind if you want to enjoy that view, but you're not quite up for that challenge. All right, so the restroom is closed for repairs, and then we have this Old Rag shelter. We also passed another shelter up there. I think it might have been bird shelter or something like that. And you are allowed to camp before you get to the summit of the mountain, and then you'll see signs telling you where you're no longer able to camp at. So I was just texting with my mom a little bit. It's funny, I like adventures, I like going places, I'm not scared of the outdoors, and my mom is very cautious and very scared of everything, so she worries about everything we do. So I got a burst of cell phone data, and I was able to give her an update. But she was saying, what I realized too, she said, boy, your husband really loves you to do all this for you. And I'm very lucky that I get to do this for my birthday, and that he did this hike with me and drove me to Shenandoah and came on this trip with me. So yeah, pretty lucky girl. All right, so we made it back to the parking lot. It took us with 2 to 3 breaks. We were finished in 5 hours, 30 minutes. So we're pretty happy with that amount of time. We feel like we got to take some nice breaks and really savor the summit when we were up there too. And then just to show you, here is what the parking lot looks like later in the day. Much busier than when we first started. So if you're an early bird, you're gonna appreciate the empty and less crowded trails, and you're gonna wanna get that early start. So yeah, birthday dream accomplished. I feel really great. My husband feels really accomplished. We did it together. It was not easy, but definitely worth it. If you find yourself in Shenandoah, don't miss hiking Old Rag. Be sure to get the permit and check this one out. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, leave me a comment. If you want to join us as a channel membership at $1.99 a month and help support our mission of just inspiring you and encouraging you to get outside. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.